What did this weekend do for Jordan Walsh's chances to stick around? And one weird stat right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT. Karalis recap the madness every game, every practice. Prime time, Depp and D White on the sideline. Raining Jays, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
The Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Thank you for making this show the number one Celtics podcast in the world, and the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcasting network in the world. Really do appreciate you supporting us in that way. We talk Celtics here every Monday through Friday, bonus podcasts on the weekends. The show's free. It's everywhere. It's on YouTube. So subscribe however you want to listen to or watch podcasts. I'm John Karalis, beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've been covering the team for about 20 years. I've been doing this podcast for 10. I've written a couple of books about this team. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Later on, we'll take a look at where we think the Celtics stand after 11 games here. In the second segment, we'll get one weird stat and maybe more. But let's start with what we've taken away from 2 games against the Magic, and we'll do that with Tom Westerholm. Oh, we got a graphic here. There it is.
Yeah, there we go.
Graphic there. Tom, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm great. So Celtics win 1, lose 1 against the Orlando Magic. What's your biggest takeaway from the weekend?
Well, I mean, I think the first game, tough one. I think the second one, my number one takeaway is Jordan Walsh. I think the Jordan Walsh thing is really getting interesting because I think we're really starting to see a guy who can, it's hard to get off the floor, right? If you're Joe Mazzulla, it is tough to take him off right now because his defense is really good. I think we're starting to see little bits and pieces of, pre-draft. The Jordan Walsh thing was like, okay, this is like, this guy makes Marcus Smart-like plays at his height with his athleticism, with his length. He has this nose for the ball, this knack for doing things, the way the ball almost like sticks to him when he gets these steals, sort of. He has just this intangible ability to defend. And I don't know, man, I'm happy for Jordan Walsh that we're starting to get these flashes. He seems like a good kid, and he is still very much a kid. He's 21. And I think for the Celtics, I guess my number one takeaway here from the weekend is like, okay, you have this Josh Minott situation that like we talked about last time, like, whether or not another team's going to offer him money that makes it prohibitive for the Celtics to keep him, who knows? But if you got 2 of those guys, all of a sudden it becomes a lot more interesting. Like 2 of those long, springy forwards who can defend a bunch of different positions. If you got 2 of those guys, that's a lot more interesting. So anyway, I'm happy for Jordan Walsh. I'm excited for him, and it's interesting to me that the next time the Celtics go out, he's going to be one of the more interesting players for me to watch. That hasn't been the case for most of his career. It's always felt very much like, okay, well, get this guy some minutes so he can run around and tire himself out a little bit. But that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if there is that level of kind of, I don't know, opportunity moving forward. I mean, he is getting the opportunity. At the same time, I know that Joe Mazzulla is going to go to whoever gives him a chance to win in a certain situation. And so that might mean, like, a week ago we were doing the Baylor Scheierman thing.
Yeah.
We were doing the Baylor Scheierman thing, and he was like, hey, he's starting to make his move, blah, blah, blah. A lot of the same things that you just said were being said about Baylor. And those haven't gone away, but he's gotten a few DNPs. I came into this weekend thinking that this might not be a Jordan Walsh series because Orlando is big, burly, tough, and Scheierman has like more meat to him. He's a guy that can use his size, a little bit better. So, but hey, shows how much I know. Like Joe went a different direction, and it works. And so but I don't know against Philly. If Jordan has 2 or 3 bad minutes against Philadelphia, boom, he's out because you need to be super consistent. Like, he is in an unfair spot, not because Joe Mazzulla is making it unfair, because life in the NBA is unfair. A guy in Jordan Walsh's, station doesn't have any room for error. You either go out there and you perform well, like you did against Orlando on Sunday, or you get beat a couple of times and it's like, oh, well, he can't stay in front of, I don't know, DJ Edgecombe, Reese Maxey, somebody on the, Quentin Grimes, like whoever. If he has trouble with a matchup, then you don't go to that matchup. You give somebody else a chance, and that person might be the one who earns minutes. And we all move on to the next shiny object and be like, hey, wow, Ugo Gonzales again. We've done this with Ugo. We've done this with Josh. We've done this with Baylor. And now we're doing it with Jordan. And I think my big takeaway when it comes to that is they're all equally good. They all have the opportunity to make some noise. And I don't know if any one of them is going to get the 20 to 25 minutes of, well, I'm going to let you play through a couple of mistakes. They don't have the luxury of making mistakes because whoever is out there making them, there's 3 guys behind them that Joe can go to and be like, they all do equal things, right? So that's my big thing. So in a way, that would be a compliment to Jordan, because if he continues to do this, that means he is earning it with incredibly good play.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, to me, the Walsh thing, it's because it's so defense oriented. It's one of the reasons that I think that I think he's going to keep getting minutes here. I mean, and we'll see, right? You're definitely right that, like, there's been this cycle of these guys. And I think that because his is so defense oriented, and because his defense, like, it looks a little bit different, than like the way Walsh defends is a little different than the way Baylor Scheierman defends. I think there's more upside there. He's shown more. I mean, there's more upside there for one thing, because Baylor Scheierman is 37 years old and Jordan Walsh, But, like, I do think that there's a little bit more potential there. There's a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more meat on that bone. Like, I guess not in a literal sense, right? Because Jordan Walsh is a very skinny individual, but
yes,
yeah,
there's not much meat on that bone.
Yeah, there's really not. But I think if you're the Celtics, I think one of the big takeaways here that it's definitely a positive, and we'll see how positive, but it is definitely a positive that they have a bunch of different guys who can do this, right? If you're looking ahead to, the postseason, if you're looking ahead to just like making a postseason push, I mean, it's a big boost that if Jordan Walsh doesn't have it tonight, yeah, you're right. Ugo can go out there and you can see what he can do. If Ugo doesn't have it, then you can see what Scheierman can bring to the table. Like, there's a lot of options here. And, for a team that, like, isn't 100% sure what its rotation is going to look like options is only a good thing. So might not be a good thing for Jordan Walsh, for Baylor Scheierman, but for the Celtics, it's a very nice luxury there.
Could be worse. Yeah. And so we'll see. The more of these guys that can make these cases for themselves, the more that maybe can say, hey, no, we are worth keeping around for next year, the better. Yeah. And it may not be great to say, hey, we don't have any one guy that can be the regular 9th man or 8th man, but it might also be fine to say, if you've got a solid top 7, then mixing and matching 8 through 11 is okay. It's fine.
That's how the playoffs usually are anyway, right? Like you have like a top 7, and then you mix and match as matchups see fit.
Yeah. And look, just from a financial perspective, if you pay 4 guys, the somewhere around the minimum $2-3 million, then that's okay too. And if you have a bunch, that's going to end up probably how things are going to have to go anyway in the new second apron era. Like, I'm still waiting to see how all of that shakes out. Like, we haven't seen the long term how this builds things, but we'll see. We'll see. But Jordan, good for him for making that case and stepping up. Like I said it yesterday, I said it again today. I'm happy for him because I like people like me who are saying like, I don't know. I'm kind of out. Like I remember phrasing it like I'm not leaving the party yet, but I'm starting to like check for my keys, see where my coat is. And so this is like this game is that banger song. You're like, man, I got to stick around for this one. Somebody's like, so come on, let's have one more. Like, okay, let's go.
Somebody pulled out a good board game, and you're like, you know what?
Like, okay, let's do it. Okay, I'll stick around.
I got one in me. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's what you need. Yeah. And then, from there, maybe you do leave, or from there, maybe it becomes like the greatest party ever. And that's kind of up to Jordan. So good for him for keeping me around for another drink. Now let's see where it goes. I got one weird stat for you, Tom Westerholm.
All right.
We'll give it to you after the break. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's NBA season, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can combine all of your bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, if you're a new customer, FanDuel will give you $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So make it a good one. Go over to FanDuel.com to sign up. Now, make sure when you sign up, you're setting your limits. You set your budget, whatever you can afford to lose, just in case you get a cold streak. FanDuel will help you out, help you gamble responsibly, and help you, not go overboard. We don't want any of that stuff. You can play, and hey, if you lose a couple, it happens. Come back next time. So head over to FanDuel.com to play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's show is also brought to you by Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone, keep your same number and contacts. You can get the same quality service you had before a fraction of the price. Setup is easy. You keep your number, and then you're up and running in minutes. Are you ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Upfront payment of $45 is required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time, new customer offer for the first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on the unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day, and for making Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in the world. Thank you so much for doing that. You everydayers, you're the ones who make it happen. The people who are with us every Monday through Friday. Become an everydayer. Subscribe. The show is free. It's everywhere podcast exists. All right, Tom Westerholm. My weird stat is we've talked about Neemias Queta. I still think it's weird. Sorry, Neemi. I think it's weird that Neemi, according to Cleaning Glass, is a plus 30.2. I still think that's weird. But the weird part is that Jalen Brown, who is having, I think, an incredible season, an all NBA level season. We'll see how it shakes out, but he's having an all NBA season. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Yep.
Minus 14.2 on off. Okay. So that's the difference in efficiency with Neemi on the floor versus Jalen Brown on the floor. And that is a weird number. And I don't know, Tom, you want to take a crack at why that number is what it is?
Not off the rip. I'm interested to hear what I assume you've a theory or two formulated, but what I will say is that Jalen's on-off numbers have never been friendly, which is
they haven't.
Weird. He's always been like this. And, it's always been Tatum, who's always been kind of, one of the on-off superstars on the team. Obviously, Tatum passed his powers to Queta this year, so for Neemi. But yeah, no, Jalen has had that weird element to his stats for a while.
He has, and I think part of it is that he's had a lot of time with backups. Maybe I don't know. But I think this time around, it's that he is on the floor with the lesser players.
Mm-hmm.
Neemi is playing 20, not even 24 minutes a game. Jalen's playing 32 right now. And I just think Neemi comes off the floor before the wheels fall off. And people would say, well, yeah, John, that's what on-off numbers are. You come off the floor and wheels fall off because you're that good. And I think there is something to the defensive efficiency that Queta being there helps, protect the rim. 30 points better is a bit much. I think
bit of a stretch. Yep.
I still think that that's because not only is he like that much better, like, okay, the Celtics are, I'm making up a number here just because to illustrate my point. Think with him on the floor, the Celtics might be like really a plus 11, but with him off the floor, with the last Orlando game aside, Luka Garza, Chris Boucher, who's now DNPs, like those guys are like minus 20s. And so with those things factored in, like Neemi is just so much better because there is literally no other rim protector standing there at the rim. Your only other rim protector is Derek White with chase down blocks and being the best shot blocking guard in the game. But I think for Jaylen, for being such a negative, I just think that he's been on the floor during the runs that the other team is making. And it hasn't been like his fault. Like other players are screwing up and he's the one that's on the floor. And Kate has kind of been part of that. Like if he leaves and Garza comes in, Jalen's still on the floor. He's getting all the negatives from the Garza thing. So I think the early sample size is playing a big role in this, but it's still, no matter what, it's weird to have Queta be one of the best plus minus guys in the league.
In the NBA. Yeah.
And Jalen Brown, one of the worst on the team to get like regular. In fact, Luka Garza is behind him with 132 minutes. Jalen has 350 minutes and he's a minus 14.2. Like that just doesn't make any sense. The only guys that are worse than him, Baylor Scheierman with 59 minutes, Boucher with 64 minutes, Tillman with 58, Garza with the 132. So it's just a weird number to me.
It's very weird too, because it doesn't, in previous seasons, I almost feel like there were times where I felt like I could have seen where that lined up with the eye test a little bit, right? Where it's like, Jaylen does get buckets. Sometimes it doesn't look like, that previous seasons. I have not felt like that this year. That has not been my impression from watching the game. Like it just, it looks like, what it looks like, honestly, is that Jaylen is borderline unstoppable. Like it's, he's getting his shoulder around these guys, getting himself to the rim in a way that just has not been there in previous seasons, for whatever reason. So yeah, it doesn't look that way. So yeah, you're right. You've classified it well. It is a very weird stat.
I do think that the Celtics like late game execution, which has been not great.
Yeah.
Like Jalen's on the floor for all of that.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely a big part of it. Yeah.
Queta hasn't been all the time. He has been for some, he hasn't been for others. And so he's not getting the full effect of late game execution. And to be fair, Jaylen has had like some late game kind of like fumbles and turnovers. So I'm not saying that he should be where Queta is, but he shouldn't be minus 14.2.
Yeah,
and I think this is the small sample size just taking a big old bite out of everything. I'm very curious to see how that shakes out though, because you're right. Jaylen hasn't had the best plus minus over his entire life. So I'm kind of like, is his plus minus on, let's see. Against Orlando, he was a -17. They won that game. You know, -21. He was a -20 against Houston. So like he's getting these big, minuses there. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see how this settles. All right, let's.
Well, hang on. I got a weird stat too.
You get a stat. Tom has a stat. Everybody.
It's not really a weird one. It's definitely nothing advanced. But you want a perfect indicator of what might happen if the Celtics got like a decent backup big. Luka Garza, in games where he scores 9 or more, the Celtics are 4-0. So it's not might not be 1-to-1, but it does help a little bit when you have a backup big who is giving you some good stuff. So.
And there you go. That's where I think Jalen's plus minus takes a hit, or some of these guys.
Yep.
Because look, it's not just Jaylen out there. Let's see. Pritchard's a plus 15.3. Derek White's plus 1. Simons is a -7.
Well, the Derek White one is funny because it's like he's a positive, and all we've heard so far this season, all we've talked about is like, well, man, Derek's really struggling, but Jaylen looks awesome.
Yeah. It's so funny. Maybe plus minus isn't the exact way to judge a player.
Turns out maybe it doesn't tell you everything. Yeah.
Let's get some thoughts here. And we've gone through the big tough 7-game start, the creamy middle, that softer 4-game start. Let's kind of take a look at where the Celtics are when we come back after 11 games. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. I know who today's show is brought to you by. Game Time is here to get you tickets to just about anything. But basketball season is here. And look, I've bought basketball tickets to the WNBA before. I've bought baseball tickets. I've bought a few things here. So I'm not eligible for this offer that I'm about to give you, but I can tell you that Game Time is very easy to use. You can see where the best offers are. You open up the app. It's super easy. You can see the green dots, the red dots, the yellow dots. It tells you where the best deals are, where the best prices are. You get great seats in minutes. No hidden fees at checkout. The price you see is the price you get. You click on the tickets. It'll show you what the view is. So you can see what you're going to see when you go to the game. They've got these zone deals which are a game changer. You pick a section, they'll pick the seats, and you save even bigger there. You can find NBA tickets on that app for under $25. So don't take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. I wish I can get that, but I don't anymore because my first purchase was a long time ago. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKED, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Today's show is also brought to you by Robinhood. Your ambition just meant its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Now expect more for your money, from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Josh Lloyd hosts the greatest fantasy basketball podcast in the world. If you're serious about winning your league, you got to listen to him because he's going to give you all the inside info, the ads, the drops, the trades you should be making, who you should be starting and benching, all of that stuff. So go check it out wherever you found this podcast. Tom, the Celtics are 5-6 through 11 games. Well, we knew that they were going to have some struggles through the first 7. And then we thought, hey, that next 4 would be like nice if they can make up some ground. 5-6, maybe it's not exactly how they'd get there. I don't know how you feel, but I feel okay. I think coming out of these 11 games, I feel okay with this team being 5-6.
Yeah, I think so. I think, not being, above 500 when, that the Utah game stings a little bit if you're the Celtics, right? Like that
Sure.
It's like, man, you left one on the table there. Mm-hmm. But I think But, being 5-6 is that when we talked early on the season, right? We talked about not getting too deep in a hole. Like this team can't dig itself a big hole, because digging yourself back out of a big hole is going to be really hard without Jayson Tatum, right? So like it was important to be hovering around 500 at this stage. And they are, they're one game below. I think if you think of the rest of the season in, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, like you can do that little tango a little bit the rest of the way and not be in a terrible position at the end of it. So yeah, I think what we've seen so far, we're going to see them beat some teams that we didn't expect them to beat. We're going to see the occasional Cleveland win. We're going to see, a nice win like they had yesterday against Orlando. We're going to see some good stuff. We're going to see some Utah losses that are pretty gross. But it does feel like we've got barring any health issues, it does feel like we have a pretty good sense of what we're going to be looking at over the next few months.
Yeah. I think some things were confirmed over these 11 games. Like, I don't think the good teams are going to be like those are going to be struggles.
Yes.
And, like Orlando, we can classify them as a good team, but maybe not as good.
They're going to get there. I don't like Orlando. I don't like their jerseys. I don't like a lot of things about them. I don't like the Disney. I mean, I like their jerseys. I don't like the Disney. I think that's stupid.
Yeah.
But I do think that Disney. I do think Orlando is going to be pretty good. But yeah.
But they're not good yet. And so this was you can look at this, and this is the thing about this team. You can look at some of these games like Orlando. Did the Celtics really do anything different defensively in the second Orlando game? I don't think so. It just Orlando hit 17 3-pointers on that Friday and 7 on Sunday. And there's a big difference there. The Utah game is like, oh, gross. But it's offset by the win over Cleveland. And then you can look at Detroit and New York and we had opportunities. And that I think there's going to be a lot of we had opportunities. And where the Celtics become the 44-45 win team is how quickly can you stop having that discussion and saying, man, we had it. We just blew it. The longer you have that discussion, the lower your win total gets, because the margin for error is just non-existent. So you got Philly on Tuesday. You got Memphis on Wednesday. That's another 3 games in 4 nights. You finally get 3 days off and the schedule kind of normalizes, right? 3 days off, the Clippers, a day off, Brooklyn, 2 days off, Brooklyn again, a day off, Orlando, 2 days off, Detroit, 2 days off, Minnesota, Cleveland back-to-back. But, 1, 2, 3, 4 stretches, 4 different multiple days off in 3 weeks when they've been playing this grueling kind of schedule. I think you got to take the schedule into account here and say they stayed afloat at the very beginning of the season, where the preseason, I've said it a million times, was meaningless, didn't give them anything. They're figuring things out on the fly. I don't know where they're going to end up wins-wise, but the fact that they stayed afloat and are at 5-6 now, I never expected them to be a 50-win team. So this is an opportunity here for them to take what they've learned, get some of this practice time. You get a couple of cupcakes there with Brooklyn, maybe, Memphis, maybe stack up a few wins there and keep things rolling until you start to get a little more consistency. Going back to the beginning, Jordan Walsh, those guys, if they can be a little bit more consistent, that helps. The bench units being better, taking some of the pressure off of the starting unit, then it's okay if Derek White misses a couple of shots. Then that's all fine. So it's just a matter of how quickly do they get that. And I feel like they're kind of trending that way. We talk about the points on the bulletin board. It's not like this big, massive upward swing, but I think the push pins are going upwards.
Yeah. So, I think so. Yeah. A nice, steady, small slope. Very small slope.
Yeah.
But it's going that way.
It's going that way. I think this is a positive. I'll finish by saying this. I'll repeat what I said yesterday. it's not about the wins and losses necessarily, but the guys who are trying to make this team for next year, which is what everybody understands that this is all about.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to win. You can't just say that this guy played great, but then they collapsed at the end. That's not good enough.
Yeah.
It's not about, I don't care if the Celtics win 34 or 44 games this year. But what I do care about is Josh Minott, Ugo Gonzales, Jordan Walsh, Baylor Scheierman, all of those guys, are they going to contribute to winning? And are they going to do what they did on Sunday? Jordan Walsh contributed to winning that game. They do not win that game without Jordan Walsh doing what he did.
That's right.
And that's maybe the only time we've ever said that about a Celtics game.
Yeah.
Can these guys contribute to winning? Because when it comes time to actually care about the wins, those guys have to they have to understand what it takes to do it. And that's why the wins and losses matter this season. Not about counting them up, but about how you get there and can these guys contribute to them.
Yeah, and I think that that is why it's such a positive that Josh Minott seems to love Boston, right? That's why it's such a positive that Ugo Gonzales comes in and has played professional basketball for years and years already at the age of 19. That's why it's such a positive that Jordan Walsh has gotten 3 years under his belt playing on a championship level team with championship level stars at his position, right? Those things help you understand, because it like learning how to win and becoming a winner is a big learning curve. Like, that's hard to do. And if you've got guys who are young but already kind of on that path, that's nice. That has the potential to be a nice win in a otherwise, somewhat down, somewhat bleak season. That's a nice win to come out of it.
Well, somewhat down and somewhat bleak is a great way to finish this podcast, which some might say is somewhat down and bleak sometimes. Tom, appreciate you.
Off the pod.
Thanks, Tom.
Appreciate you, man.
I do appreciate all of you listening and watching. Thank you so much for being here. It's a Monday through Friday podcast. When they do play on the weekends, bonus podcast. So we're not getting one this week because they get a few days off. Woohoo! But we'll get one next Friday when they play Brooklyn at home. So I will be there for that, and I will give you a post-game podcast probably from TD Garden. So make sure you're subscribed, get the show. It's free. It's available everywhere. It's on YouTube. Let me know what you think in the comment section on the YouTube page. Share your thoughts. Become an everydayer. Join me every Monday through Friday here on the #1 Celtics podcast in the world, on the #1 sports podcasting network in the world. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.